This is the country where you can buy antibiotics without a prescription at the corner pharmacy, where a woman steps into the ring and knocks a man to the ground while the crowd goes wild. Look at his mischievous face. Get your hand out of there, kid. A young man from the tribe goes out to hunt for his own wife like he's just going out to buy bread. Do you like barbecue? I have it, but it's dog meat. There's a waterfall in the middle of the jungle where a pale European woman in a bikini jumps off a rock looking like she just discovered the secret of humanity. Here, you can live by the sea for next to nothing. And then there's Grandpa. Grandpa, 65 years old, bald, with a beer belly, holding hands with a 24-year-old Vietnamese woman like it's the most natural thing in the world. Open up a map of Southeast Asia and look for that country shaped like an S. That's right, S. Vietnam borders China to the north, Laos and Cambodia to the west, and faces the South China Sea with more than 3,260 kilometers of coastline. Just to give you an idea of the scale, that's way too much coastline for just one country. And it's not that generic beach you see in travel agency photos. Mai Kay Beach in Da Nang always shows up on lists of the most beautiful beaches in the world. Halong Bay in the north is a UNESCO World Heritage Site, with more than 1,500 limestone islands rising out of the greenish sea, as if someone had dropped an entire mountain range into the water. Photos of Halong Bay look like over-the-top Photoshop edits. I swear they're not. That's really how it looks. But there's something nobody talks about that really impressed me. The waterfalls in this country are insanely good. An Yak in the north is right on the border with China. 30 meters high, 300 meters wide, the widest in the country, and chosen by Travel Plus Leisure as one of the 25 most beautiful in the world. You arrive on a bamboo raft, and when you get close, you realize that on the other side of the waterfall, it's already China. The international border runs right through the middle of the spray. Can you wrap your head around that? The line that separates two countries is inside a waterfall. Further south, in Dalat, the Datanla waterfall has become an adventure park deep in the forest, canyoning, kayaking, ziplining, all with a waterfall as the backdrop. Adventure or recklessness? I couldn't tell ya. Probably both. In the south, the Mekong Delta is a whole different world. A labyrinth of rivers, canals, and mangroves where everything happens on the water. Floating markets, stilt houses, boats loaded with fruit. It's just a few kilometers from Saigon, but it feels like it's a century away. As for the cities, they're three completely different characters within the same country. Hanoi, in the north, is the capital. Colonial in its layout, rich in history, slower in pace. An 11th century temple shares a block with a modern cafe. Hon Kian Lake sits in the center, with a tiny island in the middle, and a red temple on top that looks like it landed there by accident and ended up beautiful. Da Nang, in the center, grew up the railway. Beach on one side, mountains on the other, all with new infrastructure. And there's a dragon-shaped bridge that actually breathes fire on Fridays and Saturdays at 9 p.m. It's not LED, it's not a special effect, it's real fire coming out of the mouth of a concrete dragon in the middle of the Han River every week, just normal. Saigon, and nobody calls it Ho Chi Minh City in daily life, you can cross that out, is the organized chaos of the South. Modern skyscrapers right next to 18th century pagodas. More than 9 million people who never seem to stand still. And a nightlife that I'll show you later on. Trust me, it's worth staying. The country has 54 ethnic groups, each with its own language, its own festivals, its own way of life. And the weather doesn't make things easy. The north has 4 real seasons, the south is hot all year round, and the center's the wild card. Hot winds from Laos in the summer, storms the rest of the year. Vietnam doesn't have just one climate, it has 3 different climates in one country. Everything I've shown you so far, the landscape, the cities, the waterfalls, that's just the packaging. What's inside this weird S-shaped country is going to surprise you in a way no other video has managed to show you, and it all starts with the women. I'm going to be straight with you. I know this part is the reason why half the people watching haven't closed the video yet. Am I right or not? Vietnamese women. Straight black hair, dark eyes, skin that ranges from porcelain white in the north to a natural tan in the south. And over there, fair skin is a sign of beauty and status, you know? That's why you see women on motorbikes completely covered up on the streets of Hanoi and Saigon. Gloves, jacket, mask, visor. The first time you see it, it looks like a scene from a sci-fi movie. The second time, you realize it's vanity with discipline. Average height, 5 feet and 1 inch tall. Life expectancy, 78 years, 7 to 8 years more than men. They're already starting out with an advantage. But what sets Vietnamese women apart from any postcard narrative is what happens beyond appearances. Almost 70% of them work, one of the highest rates in Asia. The global average for women is 41%. According to Forbes, 40% of all businesses in Vietnam are led by women, the highest rate in all of Southeast Asia. The first self-made billionaire in the entire region? Vietnamese, Nguyen Thi Phung, she didn't inherit anything from anyone, she built it from scratch. But there's another side to it. The average Vietnamese woman still spends more than 5 hours a day on unpaid domestic work, on top of her professional job. She runs the business during the day and takes care of the house at night. It's not an exception, it's what's culturally expected. Do you admire that, or do you feel weighed down just hearing about it? Now, pay attention, because this is where the video takes a turn you weren't expecting. There's a tradition called Vot County Tren, traditional Vietnamese wrestling with more than 4,000 years of history. No fancy arena, no sponsorship, no pay-per-view. It's a village festival. Only one rule: if you throw your opponent on their back, you win. No weight classes, no categories. It happens in Hanoi, Bac Ninh, Hue, Hanam, every spring after Tet, with hundreds of competitors and thousands of people in the makeshift stands. And there's a category called Vot Nam Nu. Direct translation, man versus woman wrestling. The woman steps into the ring facing the man. The crowd isn't shocked, they go wild. There are fan clubs, and some female fighters have followers on TikTok. An To, for example, became an influencer without ever leaving the village festivals. She's beautiful, delicate, and will have you on the ground before you even know what's happening. You know when you trip over your own feet and look back as if it was the floor's fault? That gentle yet strong Vietnamese woman will slam you to the ground like you're nothing. So what now? Would you have the guts to go around with a woman that good? Oh, and she really is that good. The Sand Village Festival in Hue has been around since the 15th century. Almost 100 competitors, thousands of spectators. And by local tradition, anyone healthy can join. You don't have to be a resident, and there are no weight classes. You can just show up out of nowhere and end up in the ring against someone twice your size. You either lose with honor or win by surprise. That's Vietnam being Vietnam. And speaking of surprises, now I'm going to tell you why this country is pure chaos with 75 million motorbikes, and I'll finish with the reason why some people came for 2 weeks and ended up staying for 2 years. When you land in Hanoi or Saigon for the first time, one thing hits you before the heat, before the smell, before any other impression: the sea of motorbikes. Vietnam has between 72 and 75 million registered motorbikes, almost one for every adult resident. In the big cities, motorbikes make up 85 to 90% of all traffic. It's what you see when you open your hotel window at 7 in the morning or at midnight. Motorbikes everywhere, all the time. They carry anything. Kids to school, food deliveries, refrigerators, even entire families of 5. At some point, someone recorded a motorbike transporting an entire family of pigs tied to the luggage rack. As far as we know, the pig was not consulted about the itinerary. And crossing the street in this chaos requires a technique that goes against everything your instincts tell you. Don't run, don't stop. Walk slowly, keep your pace, make eye contact with the motorcyclists. They swerve around you like water flowing around a rock. It's physics applied to urban chaos. It works. You know that feeling when you walk into a meeting where everyone seems to know what they're doing except you, and then halfway through you realize you know too? That's exactly what it's like the first time you cross the street in Saigon. But now, here's a fact that not many people connect to all of this. While the cities buzz with engines, the Vietnamese countryside is quietly doing something the whole world depends on: feeding the planet. Vietnam is the second largest coffee exporter in the world, and it's the world's largest exporter of black pepper. It's among the top-tier global producers of rice, cashew nuts, and seafood. That delicious coffee you had this morning, without even checking the label, might very well have originated from right there in that country. And who keeps the countryside going while the men move to the city? The women, once again. They stayed and truly took charge. They managed production, negotiated the markets, and raised the children. The image of the Vietnamese woman in a conical hat bent over the rice field isn't just a postcard, it's the economy in action. Now, what if I told you that you could live in the middle of all this for way less than you think? Da Nang is the city nobody tells you about, but everyone who goes there never wants to leave. It's located in the center of the country. On one side, you have Muc Chau Beach, listed among the most beautiful in the world, and on the other, the San Trum Mountains, lush and green all year round. It's clean, organized, and human-sized. It doesn't swallow you up like Saigon does. An Thong neighborhood is where the good life happens. 2 blocks from the beach, cafes with 100 megabit per second Wi-Fi, rooftop bars with ocean views. In the morning, you go to the beach. In the afternoon, you work at a cafe with a passion fruit cocktail on the table. At night, you watch the sunset with a 50-cent beer. A one-bedroom apartment near the sea costs between $280 and $480 a month. Gym, $20. Full meal, $2. Internet, $10. Total for living well with the beach, sun, and a beautiful Vietnamese woman by your side, $700 to $1,100 a month. There are people who came for 2 weeks and ended up staying for 2 years. It's not hard to understand why. And every Friday and Saturday at 9 p.m., the Dragon Bridge spits real fire from the middle of the Han River. Every week. Normal. But Da Nang during the day is only half the story. There's a corner in the northwest of this country that no tourist guide knows about, and it has a waterfall so hidden that you can only get there by asking a local, who points to the woods with a smile. I mentioned the waterfalls back at the beginning, Ban Jok on the border with China, Da Tam La with the zip line in Dalat, but there's one I saved because it needs some context to make sense. Why are there so many Western women, fair in bikinis with wet hair and an adventurous look, diving into waterfalls in rural northwest Vietnam? It's not a coincidence. There's an explanation, and it starts with the name that's become Asia's worst-kept secret. Ha Giang is in the far northwest of Vietnam, 280 kilometers from Hanoi. 70 kilometers of winding mountain roads with sharp turns that make the driver sweat and the passenger pray in a language they didn't even know they spoke. Mountains with peaks over 1,400 meters that appear and disappear in the mist as if they're teasing you. 19 ethnic groups, Hmong, Dao, Thai, each with their own language, their own clothes, their own way of life. There are no resorts, no all-inclusives, no infinity pools. And that's exactly why young tourists, backpackers who have no patience for buffet lines discovered the place and told everyone on Instagram, who then told even more people. Today, Ha Giang is a must-stop for any self-respecting backpacker in Asia, and the Du Gia waterfall has become the highlight of this route. Du Gia is located in the village of Ban Tien, 70 kilometers from downtown Ha Giang. You get there by motorbike, and only by motorbike, because there's no other way. You stop at a spot that looks abandoned and then continue on foot along a 4-kilometer trail through the forest with no signs, no official markings. You ask a local, who points into the woods with a smile that clearly says, "It's that way, good luck." 4 kilometers of trail? Humid heat, mud caked on your sneakers, insects you can't identify but that clearly have no trouble identifying you. And when the vegetation opens up, you stop. Water springs from deep cracks in the rock, flowing from stone to stone, cold in a country that boils at 41 degrees in the summer. A 6-meter drop 2 meters wide with a natural pool of crystal clear water below. The forest closes in around you, as if this were a secret kept for centuries. Then you understand why the European woman in a bikini is there. Because after 4 kilometers of jungle trail with 38 degrees beaten down on your neck, any human being with 2 working brain cells strips down and jumps in the water. It's like that moment when you stub your toe on the corner of the furniture. Your body reacts before your mind even has time to think. Extreme heat, icy water, rope on the rock. The result is always the same. Everyone jumping in, everyone laughing, everyone looking like they've just discovered the best place in the world. And there's a Vietnamese boy, about 12 years old, at this waterfall, helping tourists climb the rocks with the ease of someone who does this every day. Because he does. No uniform, no badge, no payment app. You give whatever you want at the end. He thanks you with a smile that's worth more than any tip, and he's probably seen more European women in bikinis than most Europeans have. If Du Gia is already like this, just imagine what awaits those who go even deeper. Di Gia 2, 75 kilometers from Ha Giang, has a drop of over 70 meters. 70 meters, the tallest in the whole region. Untouched primary forest all around, no official trail, no infrastructure. You either get there on your own or you don't get there at all. 6 meters high, icy water below, rope in hand. Would you jump? Because Vietnam has some very unique opinions about what you should eat after leaving the waterfall, and some of those opinions will make you reconsider your relationship with dinner. Pho in the north is a religion. Beef broth with noodles served from 6 in the morning, which CNN ranked among the 50 best dishes in the world. In 2016, Barack Obama went to eat bun cha at a Hanoi joint for $6. Plastic stool, sidewalk, elbow on a little table. No advisor could talk him out of it. No protocol was followed. The most powerful president in the world chose that stool because the food was just too good to pass up, and the photo went around the world. You know that logic of a place that looks like a dump on the outside, but the line wraps around the block? All of Vietnam is like that. It looks chaotic, but it serves the best food you've ever had. In the center, there's an imperial feast. In the south, there's com phang, broken rice with grilled ribs and a fried egg. The kind of dish you eat once and think about all week. No exaggeration. There are people who went to Vietnam because of a com phang recipe they saw on YouTube. They arrived, ate on the sidewalk for $2, and ended up staying for 2 months. Food does that to people. But Vietnam won't let you leave without testing your limits. Balut is a fertilized duck egg. You open it and find a tiny duckling with little feathers starting to grow. For locals, protein. For visitors, existential regret in 30 seconds and a story you'll tell for 10 years. There's also Teet Keng, raw pig's blood pudding topped with peanuts. The Ministry of Health records 300 to 400 cases of food poisoning per year. People still eat it with pleasure every single day. On any street corner, you'll find someone squatting, eating all of this with a plastic spoon, no table, no chair, with an expression like they've just tasted the best thing in life. Maybe they really have. That same sidewalk has rules completely different from the ones you know. I'm going to show you what's normal here and considered absurd in almost the rest of the world. This is the part that's going to make you see the place where you live differently. No judgment, just honest observation. In Vietnam, you walk into a pharmacy, describe your symptoms, and walk out with antibiotics, tranquilizers, or sleeping pills. No prescription, no appointment, no waiting. The pharmacist listens to you and takes care of it. In much of the Western world, that's a crime. 2 systems, 2 philosophies, 2 different outcomes. Which one is better? That's not for me to say. Arbor. No license, no registration, a chair and a little table on the sidewalk, and you've got a barbershop up and running. In the US and Canada, cutting hair without a license can get you fined or even arrested. The Vietnamese barber would be breaking American law just by existing with a pair of scissors on the sidewalk. He doesn't even know that, and apparently he doesn't need to. Drinking on the street is normal. The Bia Hoi spots in Hanoi serve fresh craft beer for less than 50 cents a glass, on plastic stools with conversations that last until dawn. Vietnam is in the world's top 10 for beer consumption, 40 liters per person per year. The local wine comes with a snake, scorpion, or seahorse inside the bottle, a symbol of vitality. You drink the legend along with the drink. As a result, 40% of traffic accidents involve alcohol. People know this, but they drink anyway. Dog meat. 5 million dogs are consumed per year, mainly in the north. It's not hidden, it's not a crime. It's a bar menu item. I'll let you draw your own conclusions. And what about the lottery? More than 30 million tickets are sold every day by elderly women, people with disabilities, and children at traffic lights and cafes. And the most curious thing is how they pick the numbers. A lot of people believe that dreams carry messages. A white buffalo in a dream, a broken mirror, everything turns into a lucky number. You're not betting on luck, you're decoding a message from the universe. In the South, the results are announced like a championship final. An excited announcer, flashing signs, people holding their tickets with both hands. It's faith working as a parallel financial system. But before I show you Saigon after midnight, I need to show you how this country celebrates during the day, because what happens on the streets at dawn is what gives meaning to everything that happens in the alleys at midnight. At 5 in the morning in Vietnam, the parks are already packed. It's not a gym, it's not an obligation, it's a ritual. Elderly women doing Tai Chi, men practicing Qigong, a traditional breathing and energy exercise. Middle-aged groups dancing to old songs with a portable speaker. Teenagers doing K-pop choreography on the side without a hint of irony. Vietnam starts the day together, in public, in motion, as if being collective was the natural starting point for anything. When night falls, the country changes the channel. The sound that fills the alleys isn't traffic, it's karaoke. Uncles, aunts, neighbors, everyone on the mic with the confidence of someone headlining a festival. It's so omnipresent that some provinces already fine for nighttime noise, between $40 and $80 per infraction. Ask a Vietnamese person if that's noise. He smiles. It's not noise, it's happiness out loud. An unanswerable argument. On the 23rd day of the last lunar month, the whole family celebrates Lê Rong Tao, the kitchen god. 3 guardian gods ascend to heaven to tell the Jade Emperor everything the family did right and wrong during the year. Families release live carp into the rivers because these fish carry the gods up to heaven. The markets are filled with basins of carp, people balancing plastic bags full of water and fish on their motorbikes, rushing to reach a bridge before sunset. At the water's edge, everything slows down. Whispers, splashes, golden light on the waves. How can something so simple feel so spiritual? At the love markets of Muc Chau, Sapa, and Cao Bai, young people from the Hong, Dao, and Tay tribes gather to sing, flirt, and fall in love. In some villages, the symbolic abduction of the bride still exists. The groom captures the bride before the marriage negotiations. Part tradition, part game, part script that Hollywood never managed to adapt properly because it's just too big to fit on screen. In the northwestern mountains, men and women bathe together in the rivers after work. No scandal, no surveillance cameras, no apology posts the next day. Just laughter, water, and life. Would you be shocked or tempted? Honest question, all of this happens in broad daylight. Now I need to show you what happens when Saigon turns off the lights. Saigon has one of the wildest nightlifes in Southeast Asia, and it has layers. I'll show you each one. The first is public, loud, and unavoidable, Bui Vien Street, District 1. It's 850 meters of asphalt closed to cars every night starting at 7 p.m. What's left? Bars with live music competing side by side, neon lights in every direction, street performers, tourists from 40 countries mixed with Saigon locals, and the smell of street food that makes you stop every 10 meters. Bui Vien didn't just appear out of nowhere. Before 1975, it was a hangout for journalists and intellectuals. After the war, backpackers arrived and the neighborhood adapted. In 1993, Lonely Planet mentioned it for the first time, and the flow exploded. In 2017, it officially became a pedestrian street. Today, there are 146 registered businesses, 23 hotels, 14 pubs, 25 restaurants, and 9 beer bars. Backpackers compare it to Khao San Road in Bangkok, only hotter, louder, and more chaotic. Perfect. The second layer is up high. On the 9th floor of the Caravel Hotel, the Saigon Bar has been around since the Vietnam War. Foreign correspondents used to drink there and could see the battlefront from the window. Today, they serve a draft beer called Caravel Terrace Draft, recreating the beer that journalists drank in the 1960s. You drink wartime beer on a historic balcony. On the 52nd floor of the Bitexco Tower, the Sky Bar offers a 360-degree view of a city with 9 million people. At 10 o'clock at night, with the Saigon River down below and the whole city lit up, the price of a cocktail almost seems fair. The third layer is more discreet. In the alleys between Lei Tong Ton and Tai Van Lung Streets, what the expats call Little Japan, more than 300 Japanese expatriates live there. There's authentic ramen, sake bars, and red lanterns at the entrances. And hidden among the restaurants, there are bars with Japanese-style hostesses. You pay for the company, for the conversation, for the drinks of the lady sitting next to you. It's not illegal, it's not explicit. It exists in that block as if it's always been there, because in a way, it always has. The fourth layer is the oldest and has roots that Vietnam has never completely erased. The American presence during the war created a hospitality economy in Saigon, which transformed, survived decades of political change, and today exists in versions that range from completely voluntary to structurally complicated. A researcher named Kimberly K. Huang spent 5 years inside the system to understand the rules. What she found was a map with completely different protocols for each type of client. Each group in a different bar, different prices, different expectations. 5 years of research to map out what any night on BVN shows you in 10 minutes. And it's in this setting that a scene repeats itself, one you'll notice all over Saigon at night. A Western man, 55, 60, 65 years old, wearing shorts and sandals, with that calm look of someone who's arrived exactly where he wanted to be, sitting next to a Vietnamese woman in her early 20s, smiling with the intensity of someone who won a bet she knew from the start she was going to win. It's not rare, it's part of the landscape. It has a name, it has a nickname, it's a documented phenomenon. They call it retirement migration, migratory retirement. A European or American man, 55, 60, 65 years old, who does the math, looks at the cost of living in his own country, looks at the cost of living in Saigon, and decides that his retirement money goes infinitely further in a country where dinner costs $2, rent is $300, and a 24-year-old Vietnamese woman looks at him with an attention that stops showing up at home somewhere between the second child and the kitchen remodel. It's not an illusion, it's calculation, and Vietnam figured this out before any other country in the region. You've already seen the result on this video's cover. I don't judge either of them, we've never judged anyone here. What I can say is that at night, Saigon is the most honest city about its own contradictions that exist in this part of the world. From the noisy Buivian to the rooftop with War Era beer, from the discreet little Japan tucked in the alleys to the grandpa in shorts who found in Vietnam what he stopped looking for back home, everything is out in the open. Everything exists at the same time, all without apologizing. And anyone who went to Saigon and said it was just for the foe is, with all due respect, leaving out some important information. If you know what I mean, an odd S shape on the map that was colonized, bombed, and invaded by superpowers in different centuries, yet grew more than all of them. And here's the thing, there are streets that look like a human anthill on top of motorbikes. There are women who run companies by day and knock men to the ground on the weekends. They sell antibiotics without a prescription, drink beer with a scorpion inside the bottle, and eat dog meat skewers. They do karaoke until the neighbor prays to go deaf. And you can still get an apartment by the sea for $400 a month. Now answer me this, and I want you to be honest in the comments. Have you ever seen an old guy with a beer belly and a young woman in your city and judged him? Or did you start asking yourself, what do I have to do to get that too? If you made it this far, comment Vietnam. That way I'll know who really watched all the way to the end. Oh, and don't forget to check out this video that's popping up on the screen right now. I'm sure that after you watch it, you'll thank me. Thanks everyone, and see you next time.